Hi everyone, my name's Siân. I am the Director of Growth at Kosas Cosmetics. Kosas is a beauty company, a clean beauty company with both a large retail presence and direct-to-consumer e-commerce business. I manage our digital marketing budget as well as other growth channels and run our paid strategy on TikTok. I'm also here because Alexa is my best friend from childhood.
So Siân, I know that you started at Kosas earlier this year, but you have experience working at a variety of different e-com brands and even working at agencies that have served e-com brands. So tell us a little bit about when you started kind of running TikTok paid and I guess some high-level insights that we can start riffing off of. You can just kind of go wherever you like from that, and then we'll dig in deeper.
Yeah, sure. So I started running TikTok paid when I was still working agency side for some beauty brands, and at the time we were measuring it on exactly the same KPIs as we were trying to hit on Meta. I would say that that's probably still true for a lot of brands and what they're doing. Where I'm at now, a couple jobs later, one job later. Running TikTok for a larger brand with a larger budget and simultaneously running Meta, it's become very, very clear to me that TikTok sits in a very different place in the funnel and the customer journey than Meta does. And there's a couple of reasons for that. I think the first one that gets a little bit overlooked is that Instagram and Facebook are extremely commercialized platforms. Instagram is turning into basically an e-commerce app rather than a content app. This is what the engineers at Meta spend all of their time on, like how do we make people purchase more? And that's not where TikTok is right now. Their in-app browser isn't as good. They don't have the shops features. They're testing out some of these kind of right now, but it's just not as shoppable a platform as Facebook is. So I think that you can see a lot more of that kind of direct response, last click attribution come through in Meta in a way that I don't think that TikTok is there right now. I don't know if they plan on becoming that way. When we look at our post-purchase survey, however, we do see that even the people that come in through Meta, because we see it in the UTMs that pass through with the post-purchase survey, have found us. They come in through Meta, or they come in through email, or they come in direct. We're seeing a lot of people are finding us on TikTok, and that's both organic as well as paid. So in running our accounts, I look in Triple Whale at a little bit different metrics than I do at Facebook. So for instance, like what's our cost per new visitor from the Triple Whale pixel from TikTok, and how does that's a lot cheaper of a metric for us than Meta is. Our CPA doesn't look as good, but I'm not as concerned about that when I'm thinking about how the overall business blends, and if the overall business looks healthy, I'm willing to take a bet on those kind of like more upper funnel on TikTok as more of an upper funnel channel, because I just don't believe that it's quite as commercialized and primed for that last click.
Siân, how do you guys at Kosas think about the balance between organic and paid TikTok?
It's a very intertwined strategy. Beauty is a massive, massive space on TikTok. TikTok is really where beauty wars are happening right now. It is not an option for us not to be on TikTok, because any gains that we made would be eaten up by competitors in our space. So I cannot take credit for our organic TikTok strategy. We have an amazing team who has built phenomenal relationships with the biggest influencers in the space, as well as a large network of micro-influencers, and that has been extremely, extremely powerful for our brand. I think from the paid side, if I was going to start a company tomorrow, what I would be focusing on would be first building out my organic following, and trying to build credibility for my brand and kind of the brand's page itself, so that when people land on your page, they are seeing all of your content, they're seeing people engaging with it, there's credibility there. Then I would be seeding the product to influencers with kind of a similar mindset, like influencers that match the demo of the person that I'm going after. And if you can get really great testimonial content, either through organic seeding or partnerships, there is no like easier way to stand up an ad than a Spark post on TikTok. It is like the fastest way to get an ad live. And we do a lot of A/B testing between Spark posts and dark posts, and what we call dark sparks, and all sorts of different stuff. And time again, the credibility factor of a Spark post really, which is whitelisting on TikTok, is a real winner for us. So if I was starting, so that gives you insight into our strategy. We work with a lot of influencers on getting organic content from them, and then we leverage that on paid, as well as making some of our own stuff, but primarily working with influencers. So yeah, to sum it up, if I was going to stand up a brand tomorrow, focus on getting that organic credibility there, working with influencers as kind of the first dipping of the toes into paid, and then as your credibility and your following grows, then I would focus on kind of in-house branded ads.
Because hashtags are important, and I'd be happy to go into that. But yeah, that's the way that I look at captions on it.
And from the paid side, you actually can't add hashtags on paid. So this is another plug for those influencer relationships, whitelisting from influencer content, because when you spark those videos, you do get the hashtag along with it. You can't change the caption. So that's something that we really think about. There's only, I think it's 100 characters for a paid advertisement on TikTok. It's not something that I think about much, to be honest. I try to make it just the call to action. We use display cards to reinforce that as well. I have found that display cards we are seeing like slightly lower click-through rates on them, but higher conversion rates. It's kind of qualifying the traffic, so overall leading to a higher ROAS. But yeah, I mean, I am starting to think, as JT mentioned, about kind of the SEO, like long tail strategy about it. Not necessarily on paid because we can't use hashtags, but when we're partnering with influencers, what do we want them, because we do work with them on what they have in their caption, like what do we want them to include that could be something that a customer would be searching for in the future. So not just Kosas cosmetics, but kind of the non-brand terms as well, like best clean beauty, beauty recs, that kind of stuff.
How do we find somebody that becomes part of our team that can create on our behalf and advocate for us internally? That's kind of the way I look at it.
On the influencer side and finding influencer partners that we want to work with, it's a bit obvious, but our very, very best talent are people that are genuine lovers of the brand. And Wes actually alluded to this in his talk about kind of talent and finding people that are genuinely good actors when you're making content. It is so obvious when someone who is an influencer, a content creator, is acting about a product, because that's not actually what they do. That's not their job. They're not an actor. They are someone that is sharing a genuine feeling and experience with the world, I guess. So we find that the content that performs best doesn't necessarily have to be the mega influencer, even though those can work well as well, but it's when it comes from people that are genuinely in love with the product and the brand. And the way that we make that happen is by building relationships with them. And Kosas is a little bit of a bigger brand. We've been around a little bit longer. Our brand marketing team has great relationships, host events, things like that. But I think it's very possible to do it at the startup stage, and that's by treating talent like people and getting on the phone with them, getting dinner with them, and telling them your story, and making them a genuine ambassador for the brand. Because not only will they do a great job with the content that you're paying them for, but they might even post organically for you as well.
How am I evaluating? How am I doing? How is my brand doing on TikTok?
Sure. Yeah. I think you've got to pick your KPIs and launch around that and optimize around that. I would say growth, ideally, if you're able, say you have a specific KPI that you want to hit and it's 1% click-through rate and 3-4% whatever conversion rate. call it a 1% click-through rate. If you can start with that at, $50 a day budget, and then maintain it as you scale your budget and as you scale your content and grow your program, I would call that success.
I like that. That was a good one. Sean?
Yeah, I don't know if this is really a hot take, but I think you do have to optimize for your thumb stop on TikTok, and especially on TikTok paid. I am seeing a lot of brands go so overboard in it that it's devaluing the brand. So it'll be an ad for a vitamin, but it's opening with a shot of completely unrelated goo, like texture shots, and it's just a complete non sequitur. And I remember the ad for sure, but it leaves a bad taste in my mouth about the brand, that all they care about is getting me to stop on TikTok to watch their ad, as opposed to trying to solve a problem for me as a consumer. I'm not a creator, so I don't use editing tools or anything like that, but for knowing how my ads are performing, I use Triple Whale.
We love that.
I have experience working with some high ticket items, not on TikTok specifically, on Meta, back in the agency days. Yeah, I think it's a completely different game, because it's not an easy purchase. There's a long kind of like customer journey into making a high price point purchase. So I think you have to think a little bit more deeply about what you're getting out of the spend in terms of how you are using it to generate that intent. Understanding that it will probably not pay off in a last click purchase, right? And so, if I was in your shoes, I would be making sure that my website was optimized to capture leads. I would be making sure that I was measuring how my TikTok ads were doing in terms of capturing leads. I would be watching those audiences and seeing how they convert over time, and kind of checking in on the quality of them, and doing what I could from an analytics standpoint to try and segment kind of like the list that I was building. I imagine that when your conversions are coming in more through email, SMS, or direct, like people that have been thinking about it for a while, that I'd be trying to segment the customer journey about where the kind of the traffic initially came from, and following their journey and understanding how it performed.
Awesome. As a follow-up question, so we're seeing 2-second average session durations, but really high traffic. Is this common to see on TikTok? I guess it's just really displeasing to see that.
Yeah, I do think that there is. The traffic generally is kind of less qualified on TikTok than on Facebook or coming in from Google, just because it's a little bit lower intent. I'd be interested to look in your account, look at your settings, see who you're targeting, making sure that you're not including anyone in there, like 13-year-olds. That shouldn't be. And then you say you optimize for conversion.
Yes, we did optimize for conversion.
Yeah, it's probably what I would be doing, just trying to get the most qualified traffic as possible. But yeah, that's not surprising to me.
I just have a quick question just about frequency. Do you have a rule of thumb, independent of the resources that a brand has?
Yeah, on paid, all I really get are competitor ads, because those are all of the websites that I'm on and stuff that I'm looking at. So I don't know if I would really want to name any, but I would encourage anyone, in e-commerce to look at what beauty brands do in terms of seeding to influencers, and then how they leverage that content, because, it's kind of becoming the kingmaker in beauty.